everyone, it's Miss Jones and welcome to our art lesson. For our activity today, we are making a winter scene out of paper. So what you're going to need today for this activity is a white piece of paper. You're also going to need colored construction paper. So here I have a few colors that I'm using along with white. I'm going to have an extra sheet of white here. I'm also going to be using a blue, either a light blue, dark blue. You can even use a purple kind of for a background or a sky. I'm using green here for trees, so if you have a type of green, you can use that for trees. And then I have yellow here for like stars and lighted windows. But you can always use whatever colors you have available to you. If you don't have colored construction paper, so I have had students who say, hey, I don't have colored construction paper, I can't do this project. That is not true. You can still do this project even if you only have white paper and markers, colored pencils, crayons. That'll work. You can always create your own colored construction paper by coloring your white paper and then cutting out shapes out of that. So I'm going to do kind of two versions today. I'll be doing a colored construction paper version, and then I'll also show you kind of how it might look if you have just white paper and how you can make one using just white paper and markers or some sort of coloring materials, okay? Besides the paper, what else you're going to need is scissors for cutting out shapes. You're going to need glue for putting this all together. So make sure you have some sort of glue. You might also want to have a Sharpie, like a black Sharpie or black pen to make designs, kind of draw things onto your shapes. And then finally, if you want to add snow to your background, you might want to have a white pencil if you want to make your scene, have it be like a snowing scene. So those are the materials you're going to need today, and let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you're going to do is take your white piece of paper. This is going to be our kind of bottom of our scene. So take your white piece of paper, and we're actually going to fold our piece of paper kind of like an accordion. So just fold up a little tiny strip from the bottom, kind of make like a long skinny strip down here. And then what you're going to do once you have this little flap here is we're actually going to flip our paper over. So now our flap is on the bottom here. So we have our crease on this side, and we're going to fold it over again. So like I said, we're kind of creating like an accordion. So now we have our paper folded twice, kind of like this. So we're gonna keep doing that until our paper is almost all the way folded. So I'm gonna flip over my page and then fold my little section again, increase that, flip it over, do that again. Flip it over, do that again. And then we're gonna do it one more time. So we want to leave a little bit of paper up here. So we have our accordion like this, and we wanna leave a little flap up like this so that we can glue things onto it. So keep this flap here, but have kind of the rest of yours kind of accordioned like that. And once you've got your accordion, you're going to actually fold your piece in half. So fold itself, fold it up on itself and kind of crease it there. So then when you sit up, it should be able to stand. So it should be able to stand kind of like this. So now what you're going to need to do is you're going to need your glue stick, because we're actually going to put these two pieces together so that it will, stay together and kind of look like this. So take your glue stick, and we're gonna glue our accordion parts, and then bring those two sides together. And you may have to close it back up, maybe pinch it a little bit. And then voila, it should open, and you should be able to kind of have a little stand here. It's like a little accordion that kind of stands up. All right, so that's going to be the base of our scene here. So we have kind of our base, and now we're gonna create our sky that's gonna kind of go right here and kind of make our scene a little bit larger. So go ahead and put this part aside. And now you're going to grab your color that you're gonna use for your background or your sky, kind of like your backdrop. So I'm actually gonna use kind of this dark blue. I want it to be a nighttime scene, so I'm gonna use this. And we're gonna make sure our paper kind of fits this way. So, so I'm gonna cut it this wide way. So I'm gonna measure this out. So it looks like this is the way I want to cut it. So I'm gonna actually cut this top part here and just cut off these two corners and kind of round it. So we don't wanna cut any of the edge off. We just kind of wanna go from the edge up to the corner to kind of round it down to make it more like a dome shape. So I'm gonna leave this edge here and then just cut my corner. I'm kind of going straight along here and then gonna kind of come back down like that. So I kind of just cut off the top two corners and kept it kind of a dome shape. But I don't really need this whole piece of paper unless you want to make it like a huge scene, but I'm actually going to cut mine and make mine a little bit shorter. So about halfway through your paper, you can cut kind of your paper in half. And we're going to keep this kind of domed side. So this is going to be our sky. So we're actually going to glue this piece kind of onto it like this, so that it kind of stands up like that. So we're going to use our glue stick again, and we're going to kind of glue the back of our white spot, or white our white ground, I guess I would say. And then we're gonna try and kind of curve. You might have to kind of roll your paper a little bit to make sure it kind of gets curvy and will stick. And then we're gonna stick this kind of on the edge of our piece here. So I might need to add a little bit more glue, it looks like. And then I'm gonna kind of open this up and kind of try and make that stick there. So I do need a little bit more glue. My construction paper is really thick, so it's having a hard time sticking. But there we go. You can always kind of fold it just a little bit so that it will kind of crease. I'm gonna add a little bit more glue to make mine kind of stick down. And voila, there we go. So I kind of have my scene here now. So I've got my background. It should stand up kind of like a little snow globe kind of thing. So this is our main scene. This is where we're gonna kind of put all of our items and things to kind of make our scene happen. So some of the things you can add to your scene is things like houses, snowmen, trees. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a few of those details and cut those out of paper, and then I can kind of glue them together and then arrange them on my scene here. So after you have some of your little pieces here, you can start to glue these on your winter scene. So you can place them kind of anywhere in here. You don't necessarily have to place them like on the backdrop. You can kind of place them in these little accordion sections here, and it kind of makes it cool. It kind of makes it like stand out a little bit. So there we go. There's our little paper winter scene. We kind of have some trees. You can always add more things like maybe a pile of presents or a snowman, but they can sit kind of on your shelf for the holidays, and they look pretty cute. So now I'm going to show you how to do it with just paper. If you don't have construction paper, you can use it with just white paper, and it's going to be basically the same process, just coloring your paper before you cut or after you cut it out. My pieces before I glue them together. After you glue them together, it's really hard to kind of color when it's all kind of popped up and not flat. So I'm coloring my piece before I glue it all together. I recommend using something like a marker or colored pencil, something you can, especially for this kind of big backdrop. It kind of takes up a lot more space and can be a little bit easier to color with, kind of fill up the space a little bit faster. But if you are just using white paper, you can make really cool effects that you can't do with construction paper. So you could make like a sunset or a sunrise, kind of like fade in colors. You wouldn't have to necessarily make it all the same. You could kind of choose what kind of sky you wanted it to be. You could add clouds, you could add birds flying, you could add Santa in the background. So that's the kind of cool thing about just using white paper, is that you have a little bit more flexibility because you can kind of draw on there a little bit easier. So there is my backdrop. So I'm going to use this kind of as my background here, kind of just like I did with this one. See, there's not too much difference. And as if you notice, I was coloring, I put a piece of paper down because I don't like to get colors all over my desk. But here, so I'm going to add some glue just to the bottom of this part here. And then kind of lay my piece of paper on top of this. And kind of lie it flat. And if your piece is, let's say your sky, see how it's like hanging off there and it's a little bit bigger and maybe I don't want it that big, you can always trim it down after you glue it on. So I'm gonna kind of fold it, maybe get it a little bit better that way, so it sticks. But then I can kind of trim off these edges. Kind of make it more bubbly. Oops. So that doesn't really like stick out if you don't want it to. There you go. So we have kind of our winter scene. I kind of call it like a snow globe because it kind of looks like that, but pretty much the same, right? I use marker to color my background, and so construction paper, not really needed. Now we can start adding our details, and again, using just white paper, we can either cut out our shapes first or color it first. I might just cut out my shapes for my houses. I can leave my house roofs white because I want them to look like they're snowed on. But I can add a few different things and just start adding color once I've kind of got my shapes cut out. So now that I have all my pieces kind of out, some of my trees might have curled a little bit, but I'm kind of bending them back. I can start attaching them all to my piece here. Markers and scissors and glue. So see, you can even create something without colored construction paper and it still looks just as good. If not better, actually. You can always kind of do some different things. So here are kind of our two different versions here of our winter scenes, one with white paper markers and the other with construction paper, and they both look awesome. I love how they turned out, and I can't wait to see kind of what you do with your pieces. So thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this activity. activity, and I will be excited to see your winter scene soon. Thanks everybody, enjoy the holiday.